Hello, it's me again. I started a few minutes early. I was out here kind of working on my flowers a little bit, and I thought, you know what, let me go ahead and start and see if anybody notices my flowers right there in the back. I don't know if you can see them. Let's see, I'm going backwards, this way. There they are. So something that was really cool about my flowers today is the rain really helped them grow. And I was so excited about the rain helping them grow, and I started thinking, I might need to look and see if there's any ones that aren't growing real super great, and go ahead and I think it's called prune them, but like take the dead ones out and let the new ones come and bloom. So I started looking at that, and I looked and noticed that like 3 of my plants didn't survive at all. So I told you I wasn't a green thumb, but now I'm just kind of curious on how on earth do I get these to grow? So if you have any good tips, or if you like to plant flowers, please send me some suggestions along the way. It is info at theboldmovement.com. But it also made me start thinking that as I was pulling the ones that weren't doing so great, as I was pulling them out, it gives life to the new ones to be born. And I kind of started thinking that's the way our lives are. We have to kind of weed some stuff out that really isn't that great for us, and let the new stuff be born, let the new stuff come through. So as we continue to read our Bible and we continue to pray, we will notice that the things that are old, they aren't so relevant anymore. It'll be the things that are new. And there's my neighbor's dog. How cute he is. He's so cute. Looks like he got a haircut. Oh, he's so cute. Hi. So I wanted to share with you tonight that if you have something that is Cindy Moravec, hi, happy Friday to you. It is so good to see you on here. Thank you so much for supporting me. It means the world. And I was just mentioning, my nose is running a little bit, I'm sorry, but I was just mentioning how my flowers, how I had to kind of prune them out, or whatever the word is, but take the flowers that weren't growing, that were kind of dead, and let the new ones come out. And there's something that is just unique about that. How about the young hero and the horrible giant? So we're going to read tonight about the young hero. And do you by chance know who the young hero is? Does anybody out there know who the young hero is? And his name has 5 letters. So if you can think about who it might be, go ahead and type in your answer. I would love to hear from you. And I really appreciate everybody's support and being along with me today. And it's not raining! Yay! Yesterday I had to go inside because it was raining. So tonight it's not raining. I'm back outside. I know you might hear the traffic going by, but that's okay. Cindy Moravec got it. It's David. Good job, Cindy. Virtual hug. Yay! Good job. So David had to fight a horrible giant. Let's find out what this is all about. Are you ready? Let's go. This is from 1 Samuel 17, and it's called David and Goliath. This is the name of the story from 1 Samuel chapter 17. God's people had some scary enemies, but the Philistines were the scariest of them all. And now the Philistines had a secret weapon. They had come to fight them, and they had this secret weapon. Do you know what the secret weapon was? Hi, Tanya Stevens. I'm glad your dad's doing better. It's good to see you. The Philistines' secret weapon was a big giant called Goliath. Have you heard that name before? Let's find out a little bit about him. Goliath was a terrifying soldier. And worst of all, he was a giant. And I want to stop. Hey, Paula Parrish, so glad you guys are on tonight. I want to stop right there very quickly and ask you, what giants are you facing in your life today? Is there somebody or something that's bothering you or keeping you from growing? I call that a giant. How do we eliminate those giants from our lives? Let's touch base on that in just a little bit, but let's figure out what this big giant named Goliath was going to do. He was so strong and so tall and so scary that no one had ever been able to fight him and live to tell the tale. So what that means is this guy was so mean and big and tall and scary that people who did try to fight him, they either couldn't complete the fight or they weren't successful at winning the fight. So there they were, the Philistines, standing on top of one hill. God's people standing on the top of the other. Every day, Goliath came out and shouted, get this, send your best soldier to fight me. If he wins, we will be your slaves. But if I win, you will be our slaves. Wouldn't that be scary? If you're standing and you see some big giant screaming across the hill, it's like he's tantalizing you. Send me your best soldier. You think you can conquer me? Oof! Can you imagine how scary that must have been? That's almost like going to school or going to work and somebody being a big bully and saying, hey, you think you can do that? It's scary. But this was even scarier because this guy, this giant, had actually killed people, and he was like, just come on, I want you to try to fight me. Are you kidding me? So this giant said from the mountaintop, send your best soldier to fight me. If he wins, we will be your slaves. But if I win, you will be our slaves. Now, do you think he might have been kind of laughing when he said it? Kind of like, you think you can get me? Kind of like, yeah, whatever. Oh my goodness, let's see what happens. Do you think people were like, yeah, here I am, I want to come fight you? What do you think happened? Let's find out. No one spoke. No one moved. Do you know what Goliath said? Chickens! Goliath bellowed. Your God can't save you. Big mistake when he said that, wasn't it? I'll rip your heads off and have you on toast. His beady, greedy eyes glowered at them hungrily from his horrible helmet. Yes, Robbie, they were afraid. Yes, it makes me a little afraid just reading about it. Let's see what happens. Okay, so here we go. Oh, hey, Grab, the whole family's watching, Tanya. So he's saying, at any minute, he's just going to gobble them all up. And yes, he was laughing a terrible, terrible laugh. It boomed, echoing horribly around and around the dry, dry valley. So here's a picture of one side of the army, and here's Goliath's side. Now look how big he is. He is like towering over these people. That's a true blue giant, isn't it? Let's see what happens. Well, Goliath might just as well have been a green, slimy monster with 3 heads, because God's people froze with fear. Their eyes glazed over and they turned deathly pale. They knew if someone didn't do something quick, if someone didn't save them, that God would do something. He would send someone to save them. Now you remember, now let's think about our stories from a while back. David was the youngest son of Jesse. He was the youngest son. And back in these days, usually the oldest son is the one who fought for the family, represented the family, helped make decisions for the family. But his brothers were soldiers in the army. One day, when David brought his brothers their lunches, he saw Goliath. And he saw how scared everyone was. Don't be afraid, David said. I'll fight him for you. What do you think his brother said? Now let's think about this. There's this big, huge, tall giant and little tiny David, and he's got all these older brothers. So if you're an older brother, or if you have an older brother, think about this. Your older brother is in the army fighting, and your little brother says, don't worry, I'll fight this big giant. What do you think the brothers were thinking? Do you think they were thinking, well, that's a great idea? Or do you think they were saying, David, what are you talking about? Let's find out what they thought. Are you ready? You're only a little shepherd boy, the king said, and Goliath is a great soldier. How will you fight him? God will help me, David said. Can you imagine his confidence when he looked at this king and he's saying, God will help me? Wow, how confident and brave David was. Let's see what happens. So the king, what choice did he have? He gave David his royal armor to wear, but it was too heavy and too big, and David couldn't even walk. I won't need this, David said. He won't need the armor? Let's see what happens. Instead, David picked 5 smooth stones from the stream. 1, 2, 3. And do you think he might have been looking at him and saying, this one might work, or this one's too jagged, or this one doesn't fit right? It specifically says 5 smooth stones. So we stopped at 3, now we've got 4, 5. He took his slingshot and walked towards Goliath. Now let me show you, this is a funny picture. This is what he looked like in the king's armor. Do you think he would be very confident in that outfit? Do you think he would feel very secure and ready to fight a giant with that armor hanging off of him? He said, forget it, I'm gonna get some stones. So here he is in the stream, getting his stones, the 5 smooth stones. Step, step, step. He's walking toward the giant, isn't he? Goliath walked towards David. Thud, thud, thud. You? Goliath peered down at the small boy. I'm little, David shouted up to him. Get this. But God is great. Woo! Goliath laughed, an even more terrible laugh than usual. Ha 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 ha! It went. With just one swing of his giant sword, Goliath could finish this boy off. What do you think David's thinking now? Do you think he's saying, I think I made a mistake. Let me call my brother. Oh wait, that's right. They didn't have phones back then. So he just kept going. It isn't how strong you are or how many swords and spears you have that will save you. It is God who saves you. This is God's battle, and God always wins his battles. Ha! What do you think about that one? David put a stone in his sling, swung it around, and let it go. The little stone flew. Whiz! It was like a bullet through the air. And it struck Goliath, thud, right between the eyes. Goliath stopped laughing. Now this is Goliath, big and angry. Now look, here's little tiny David with his slingshot. He stumbled, this is Goliath. He staggered and crash, he fell. When the Philistines saw Goliath was dead, they ran away. And when God's people saw them running away, they cheered. God had saved his people. David was a hero. Many years later, God would send his people another young hero to fight for them and to save them. But this hero would fight the greatest battle the world has ever known. So let me show you a picture of how long Goliath, look at him laying there. And look at tiny David right there. And here's the people shouting, hooray, hooray, because they won. I love this story, and I'll tell you why I love it. Because we get so consumed with the giants in our lives, whether it's what somebody said, whether it's what a teacher did, a teacher didn't do, what a mom did, what a mom didn't do, what a dad did, what a dad didn't do, what a pastor did, what a pastor didn't do. We sit and start looking at people, expecting them to be perfect, but they're not. The people we look up to make mistakes just like we do, because we're all human. If that is a giant in your life that you're trying to struggle or overcome, and you might be struggling a little bit overcoming that, just know that the giants in our lives are no match for God. He is our hero. He is our king, and he will win the battle, because as it said in our story tonight, God always wins his battles. What do you think about that? I think it's amazing. I love this story, and I love the faith, the confidence, and the bravery that David displayed when he was fighting this giant. Against all odds, he won because God was on his side. Woo! What a story! Thank you so much for joining me tonight and giving me just a little portion of your day to share with you some really great things that I discovered. We started off talking about my flowers, and some of them had not done so well. They kind of died, so I had to pull them out to make room for the new growth. Well, guess what? That new growth is what we need to work on in our lives and allow God to help us become new individuals, have new thoughts, and have positive outlooks, and to be kind to one another. Be faithful, be strong, be confident, and remain solid in what God's plan is for your life. And just remember, whatever battle you're facing, God's going to win that battle. Just rely on him. Follow us at theboldmovement.com. I just found out yesterday that my daughter said, if I tell you all of our different media outlets, if you go to our website, you can click them at the bottom. So instead of me giving you all that information, you can go to theboldmovement.com and scroll to the bottom, and you will find our link for Pinterest, Instagram, Twitter, and for our email, which is info at theboldmovement.com. I would love to hear from you. I would love your feedback. Thank you for being such wonderful listeners. I will talk to you tomorrow night at 7:30. Go out there and be, what is it? Let's say it together. 1, 2, 3. Be bold, just like David was. Bye, guys.